Hello you wonderful people and welcome back to the channel, as today we go off to Amsterdam to manage Ajax. Now I asked what country you would like to see me managing next on my community tab, and 30% of you voted for me to go and visit the Netherlands, and I've chose Ajax as the club. They have had an absolute shocking season, currently in 3rd place, and it's looking extremely unlikely that they will lift the Eredivisie. So yeah, I'm not going to get a better opportunity than this to rebuild a club with the stature of Ajax, especially given the amount of players that have just left them in the summer, with the departure of Ten Hag also in that. So yeah, ideal opportunity for me to rebuild this club. The aim for today is not necessarily to dominate in Holland. I think we can do that anyway, and I know there'll be some haters now watching this going, well yeah, but PSV and Feyenoord, they're all big clubs. You know, it's not just a one club league, it's not a farmers league like France. But I think Ajax should be dominating it. The big thing for me over the next 3 seasons, because that's how long this rebuild is, as it is with every video that I do, 3 seasons to sort out the club. This rebuild is all going to be about trying to get some European silverware, because I think that surely is the next step for Ajax. So yes, if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot, because as it stands, just over 82% of you currently watching this aren't subbed. So come on, get involved. Right, so here we go then on the club info screen as we play at the Johan Cruyff Arena with a capacity of over 55,000. Ajax, they're well known for their quality kits as well. The iconic red stripe down the middle of their jersey isn't used by many other clubs at all. The media prediction is currently a 1st place finish. I will take that. And looking at the history of the club, when we look at the overview, you know, it's absolutely stacked. 4 Champions League crowns. The last one won in 1995. The Eredivisie was last won in 2022, so we've got an opportunity to retain it on Football Manager this season at least. The Europa League was last won in 1992. The Super Cup was won in 1995. The Dutch Cup in 2021, and the Johan Cruyff Shield was last won in 2019. You know, when you see there, the lowest we've ever been was a 4th place finish back in 2006. So we've had a pretty consistent performance over the last 20 years, and like I say, we've won the Eredivisie for the last 4 years on the bounce. So looking at the club vision and the board's expectations, so the actionable objectives are to work within the wage budget. The 5-year plan is to be competitive in the Champions League, win the Eredivisie, be competitive in the Super Cup, and work towards developing the best youth system in the country. Now, there may be a bit of moneyball, you know, Ajax, their team that got to the Champions League final, I think it was back in 2018-19, that team has been absolutely stripped down, and a lot of their talent left obviously in the summer, some of them going to Manchester United and the rest of the big clubs around Europe. So yeah, there's an ideal opportunity to properly rebuild the club, and when we look at the supporters expect us to play entertaining football, play attacking football, maintain the club status as the most reputable team in Holland, finish above Feyenoord in the league, and win the Eredivisie. That is all achievable goals for me, if I'm honest. What competitions-wise are we in there? In the Eredivisie, the Champions League, the Dutch Cup, the Johan Cruyff Shield, and we actually take on PSV in that on the 28th of June. And then looking at the squad, so the squad is not very big at all. Let me just auto-size all those columns. The squad is not very big at all. So there is an opportunity for me to rebuild this squad. Who is the highest valued player at the club? So Jurrien Timber is valued at £90 million. Kudus is valued at £80 million. I will take that. Let's have a look at Timber. He's not got the attributes to justify his value, but a 21-year-old, you know, that also inflates the price tag. And the highest earner is Steven Bergwijn, who has actually just joined us for £26.5 million from Tottenham. So finances wise then, clearly that is the most important thing in a rebuild. We've got an overall balance of £90 million. The transfer budget is £30 million. I'll take that, and 100% of transfer revenue is being made available. That's the key as well. The wage budget is actually under £100 million at £896 million, and we are spending around about that with debt and loans currently zero. Transfer debt though at £115 million, but that is £115 million owed to us. That's one thing I will say. Obviously, like I said, our team has been stripped down, and there'll be a lot of monthly installments getting paid back to us. So finally then, looking at the tactic, I am going to go 4-2-4, and I am going to try and blow teams away. This is a tactic good for a team that is expecting to challenge or win the league, and again, I'm going to stick with that. So this looks like what is meant to be my best 11, with Rulli in goal, Wijndal, Rens, Alvarez and Timber at the back, Kudus and Klaassen in the middle, Bergwijn and Berghuis out wide, and then Tadic and Brobbey up front. I'm very happy with that. But there is an issue. I have got absolutely zero staff at the club. I'm not quite sure what's happened here. But there's the manager, myself, and then the chief doctor, Jamal Larache, if that's how you pronounce this. And I can't even click on him. So I have got no technical director, no director of football, no scouts at all. I've got no coaches, no assistant manager, no physio. You know, what am I doing listing all these things off? I've got nobody. So as well as rebuilding the squad, I also need to rebuild my full staff setup, which is a first that I've done on Football Manager. And then finally, looking at the squad dynamics, team cohesion is poor, but club atmosphere is good, and my geo support is average. And then looking at it here, I've actually got one player that supports me straight off the bat, and that is really my goalkeeper. Happy with that, I'll take that. Nobody opposes us. There's been no massive revolt of me taking over, so yeah, very happy. So what we're going to do is we are going to move forward to the start of season 1, when I'm going to get busy in the transfer window. First of all, bringing some players in, but secondly of all, building up my backroom team. Right then guys, so here we are at the start of season 1, and first of all I want to look at the finances straight away. So we've got £14,000 left in the bank, but we're now spending over £1 million on wages, and yeah, we're well over budget now, and that's not good for the club. Obviously that's not a sustainable way to run a football club. However, I think this season, let's just get it done. We'll get some Champions League revenue, and that'll set us straight. With the overall balance up at £58 million, debt and loans is 0. Transfer debt is currently £112 million. Like I say, that is owed to us. So no players have left the club since I've joined, but I have brought in Dominik Livakovic, the 27-year-old Croatian with 31 caps, solid goalkeeper. We brought him in for £8.5 million from Dynamo Zagreb, and it's a decent deal for us. He's currently valued now up to £28 million as an instinctive goalkeeper, and if I only have him for a season, I'm going to make a handsome sum on him. The 24-year-old Argentinian Nicolas Dominguez joins us. He's got 11 caps for Argentina already. Quality central midfielder, a player that I have had before in a couple of seasons. If he develops right, he'll be a world-class midfielder, and he joins us from Bologna for £6 million. He played 28 times in Serie A last season, and I'm very happy to get this guy in. He may not be a regular starter straight away, but he's certainly going to be over the next couple of seasons. Then I've brought in Tony Lato, the 24-year-old Spaniard, who comes in as a backup option out on that defensive left area, and I've brought him in for £2.1 million from Valencia. Good deal for me. He's not going to be a regular starter, but as you've seen the depth of my squad before the break, I needed players to add, and he was a very good addition. And then I did spend some big money on Samuel Chukwueze, the 23-year-old Nigerian with 24 caps and 4 goals. His media description's a winger. He likes to cut in from the right. His acceleration and pace is 16 apiece. That dribbling 17, crossing 14. He's currently valued £52 million, and I brought him in for £21 million from Villarreal, where he played 27 times last season with 3 goals. Very happy to get these guys in. The boards give me additional funds to get this over the line as well, so yeah, a very good deal all round. So tactics-wise then, this is my best 11 with Livakovic in goal, Windar Renshi, Alvarez and Timber, with Kudus and Klassen in the middle, Bergwijn and Chukwueze out wide, and Tajin Brobby up front. We are playing an attacker mentality on a tick-attacker play style, and we'll just see how it goes for this season. The attacker mentality may be a little bit too much, especially when we come up against the bigger teams in Europe. But competitions-wise then, we have already won our first bit of silverware with a 2-1 victory over PSV. Dusan Tadic with 2 goals, a goal on 15 and a penalty on 19. And John Teze got one back for PSV on 76 minutes. We had 60% possession, which is what I like to see. I won plenty of the ball this season. We had 19 shots, 8 on target. Very happy to pick up our first bit of silverware so early on in the rebuild. But then we've got the Champions League, the Dutch Cup and the Eredivisie. Now, what is the expectation for this season? The expectation is for us to win the league. We've got plenty of players in that Media Dream 11. What was the biggest fee this season? That £21 million deal for Chukwueze to join us. The top 3 deals actually for expense. All 3 of our players that we've brought in this summer. Chukwueze, Livakovic and Dominguez up there. And then finally, looking at the schedule, we start off with games against Fortuna Sittard, Groningen, Sparta Rotterdam, Utrecht and Camber. I'll take all 5 of those games early doors before we take on AZ Alkmaar. That's the first real challenging team, I would say, on the 18th of September. Then we don't take on PSV to the 5th of November, so happy with that start. And then we don't take on Feyenoord to the 22nd of January. So by that point, hopefully we'll have all the momentum and we'll be sat at the top of the table. So yes, what we're going to do is we're going to move forward to the end of Season 1, where hopefully we've just steamrolled the Eredivisie and we've had a really good campaign in Europe. Right then guys, so the end of Season 1, and probably arrogantly I would say we have dominated the league, finishing 18 points clear of FC20. Fair play to them for getting into 2nd place, with AZ in 3rd, PSV in 4th and Feyenoord in 5th. But yeah, we have steamrolled the Eredivisie this season, and when we look at it in more detail, 34 games played, 25 wins, 6 draws, 3 defeats, 101 goals scored, 37 conceded. That is poor for us. That's probably an area that we need to look at. However, we are playing a massively attacking formation, so you know, we we are going to concede. Plus 64 goal difference though, that's the main thing. That 101 goals scored though, we, like I say, dominated in the league. 81 points on the board. We actually lost 2 of our final 5 games. And when we've lost 3 all season, that is disappointing. And then when we look at the past positions, surely yes, top spot all the way through the season. FC20, they are battling between 2nd and 3rd for the majority of the season. And it's only towards the last couple of the games of the season that they end up getting 2nd place. But then looking at competitions-wise, obviously we won the league. We were knocked out in the Champions League by Bayern Munich in the round of 16. Let's have a look there. So we actually won our home leg 3-2, but we lost 7-5 on aggregate. We did score some goals, so I'll give them that. 14 shots, 8 on target. And a good 3-2 victory at home, I would say, against Bayern Munich. We win the Dutch Cup in extra time, a 3-1 victory over Utrecht there. We had 20 shots, 10 on target. And Lorenzo Luca with 2 goals in injury time, 101 and 106 gets us the victory. And then obviously we win the Johan Cruyff Shield as well. And I'm really happy with that first season. 3 bits of silverware, dominating the Eredivisie. Yeah, it's just now European football for us and trying to lift. Champions League's a big ask. But it's I suppose he's trying to fall into the Europa League because I reckon that is a trophy that we can win. And then when we're looking at the finances, I've got £22.7 million. The overall balance is £67 million. Debt and loans wise, net debt is 0. That transfer debt is £82 million. And really, where do I spend that money when I'm looking at the tactics? It's at those centre backs. I'm happy with the rest of the team and what we've got. And I just think if I can bring in another couple of centre backs to strengthen up there and reduce the amount of goals we've conceded this season, I think we are on to a winner. So looking at the player stats then, Lorenzo Luca got 35 goals this season, 22 in 20 starts in the league. He got 12 goals in 2 games in the cup. What an absolute hero. Let's have a look at it in more detail. It's his best season he's ever had. He is on loan with us. I think we will have the option to buy. 8.5 million as a future fee. I think it's only fair that Lorenzo Luca is signed and he does it again next season. And he's also the top goal scorer in the league. He finishes 5 clear of Burak Yilmaz and Henk Veerman, who gets 17 apiece. Luca obviously had the highest average rating as well at 7.52. Chuck Wazy got 21 assists this season. That's good from him. How did he get on with the goals? 15 goals in the league as well. Valued at £55 million. A very good season for him. £21 million well spent. Best pass completion was Alvarez with 89%. Most player of the match awards was Brobby with 7. Most yellow cards was Windle with 14. And plenty of players getting red cards. And then when we look at the team stats, 101 goals, which is the best. 37 conceded there, which is the 5th best in the league. 88 yellow cards, which is the 2nd worst. 3 red cards, which is the 4th worst. And we had the best average attendance at just over 53,000. So there you go then, guys. Season 1 is down. As expected, we dominated in the league. We've done quite well in the Champions League. Obviously, Bayern Munich, they're a different animal. But we give them a good run for the money. But yeah, just really need to strengthen at the back. We've certainly got goals in us, but we just conceding far too many. Right, so Season 2 then, and I've strengthened at the back. That was the big thing. I've also brought in another quality forward. We've had some players return from loan. And I believe, considering the position that we're in last season, we're in a much stronger position now. And when we look at the finances, I've got £2,756 left in the transfer budget. The wage budget is 1.19 million. We're spending over that. I've gone for it again this season. But that overall balance is looking tasty at £105 million. Debt and loan-wise, net debt is 0. Transfer debt, £79 million. We've got a lot more coming back into the club. So players leaving us then. The first player out the door was George Sanchez. He has gone off to Bochum in the Bundesliga for 6.75 million. We brought him in last season for 4.3 million. He only played 7 times. And he was never going to feature, really. I needed to strengthen. Yes, he could play at left and right back, but it just wasn't good enough for us. And then Steven Berghaus has gone off to Real Sociedad for 11.25 million. Now, he had a couple of seasons with us. We brought him in for 5.5 million pounds. He played 24 times last season, 5 goals, 5 assists. But getting on a little bit now at 31-year-old. And I have let a Dutch international go. But again, 31-year-old, I wanted to bring some youth in. And I have done that by bringing a 26-year-old Frenchman, Marcus Thuram. Now, this guy I've had on quite a few rebuilds. He is very good. I'm quite happy that I managed to get him at the club, especially when you consider I got him on a free transfer from Borussia Mönchengladbach, where he played 29 times with 10 goals last season, a 7.03 rating. He can play as a forward as well. I would imagine that's where we'll push him, but he's very good out on that left-hand side with acceleration 15, pace 17 as well. He likes to cut inside from the left wing, but his media description is a striker. And like I say, I think that's where we'll play him. I then brought in a 23-year-old Dutchman, Jan-Paul van Heck. Very, very good player. Got him in on a free transfer as well from Brighton. He played 28 times in the Bundesliga last season for Augsburg. But yeah, 23-year-old, I'd expect to see this guy get some caps. That heading and marking of 15, tackling of 17, strength of 14. Very, very good centre-back. And he'll definitely strengthen an already strong defence. And then continuing the strengthening, I've brought in Leo Ostergaard. Of course I have. I think he's been on the majority of my rebuilds. This guy, Mr. Dependable. 23-year-old, 8 caps for Norway, heading 16, marking 14, tackling 15. Powerful centre-back is his media description. And I brought him in for £7.25 million from Napoli. When he played 6 times last season, they bought him for £4 million. I'd have loved to have spent £4 million on him. But I still think just over £7 million is a bargain deal for a player with those attributes. And then another centre-back, so 3 centre-backs joining us in this transfer window. I've brought in the 23-year-old Croatian with 8 caps, Josip Sotalo. Very, very good player again. Heading 14, marking 15, tackling 16. He's 6'3", so he has got some height on him. And I brought him in for £11.25 million from Dynamo, where he played 30 times. With 5 goals last season at centre-back, and he gets to join up with Livakovic, who we brought in last season. And then finally, the big money was spent on bringing Beto to the club, the 25-year-old Portuguese national. No international caps yet, but we brought him in for £18.75 million, where he actually scored 15 times in Serie A last season for Udinese. They brought him in for £6 million. I still think £18.75 million is a very good deal for him. Acceleration and pace, both 16. That finishing 15, composure 14. Even that balance of 14. His attributes are solid and he's valued at £32 million. And he's a very good partner to Luca that we've already signed on a permanent deal. So looking at my best 11, and I am going to stick with this 4-2-4 for a final season. I reckon next season I'll look at maybe adapting to a more balanced approach. I just want to steamroll the league again. Like we've seen last season, you come up against those elite teams and we get absolutely dominated. So this is the team that I'm going to use with Livakovic in goal, Windal, Van Heck, Ostergaard and Timber at the back, with Kudus and Taylor in the middle, Thuram and Chukwueze out wide, and Luca and Beto. I say Thuram should really be up front, but he can play out on that left-hand side as we've seen. I think that team is definitely strong enough to get to the latter stages of the Champions League once again. So competitions-wise then, the Eredivisie, the Champions League, the Dutch Cup, the Johan Cruyff Shield, which we've actually won. We've already played that game. We won 4-1 against FC20, absolutely dominating. Kudus with goals on 36-51, Tadic on 88, and Robbie with a goal in injury time. 20 shots, 13 on target, 59% of possession. Worthy winners. But looking at the season preview then, there you go, 4-9 to win the league. There's only 3 players in that media dream 11 that aren't ours as well. And then looking at the schedule, we start off with games against AZ, Feyenoord, Vitesse, Sparta Rotterdam and PSV. There's some difficult games in there. AZ, Feyenoord and PSV, all teams that should be challenging. So yeah, if we can get through all those games with maximum points, the league is already ours. So what we're going to do is we're going to move forward to the end of Season 2. Well, hopefully we performed even better in the Champions League, because that is now our main focus. Right then guys, so here we go. We come back on the 1st of June at the end of Season 2 to see that we're in a Champions League final against PSG. What I will say is PSG seem to get to the final most seasons, as Maurizio Sarri is now the manager in charge there. So what we'll do is, what we normally do is we'll go on holiday for one day and we'll just see what happens. You know, heaven forbid that we win the Champions League against the might of PSG. And let's have a look competitions-wise. We end up finishing runner-up. And we lose 2-1 in the final, which is disappointing. Kylian Mbappe put us to the sword. Lorenzo Luca with a goal on 52 minutes. So we come close within Season 2. It shows that we can get to the final. It would be interesting to see what our journey to the Champions League final was like. So when we look at Group F, we ended up topping the group there. And I could see straight away we had a 5-2 victory over Chelsea. That's a massive result for us in the group stage. We then take on Real Sociedad, a game that we dominate in both legs. Bayern Munich, the team that knocked us out last season, we lose 2-1 to them at home, but we go to their place and win 3-0. Barcelona, we smash 4-1 in the semi-final. We're 3-1 up at half-time. We then go to Nou Camp and draw 3-3, and we've just lost 2-1 to PSG. You know, that's not the end of the world. I'm really happy Season 2 to get to the Champions League final. So back looking at the league then, we end up winning the league, 85 points on the board, 14 points clear of PSV this time round. And then looking at the league table, we played 34 times, 27 wins, 4 draws, 3 defeats, 114 goals scored this season, 30 conceded. We won all of our 5 last games. And then looking at the past positions, we weren't actually top all season. It took us to match day 13 where we won 5-2 against LAC Brada, and we've never looked back since. So in the other competitions then, we won the Dutch Cup as well. A 3-0 victory over FC20. Lorenzo Luca, this man is setting the world alight with goals on 5 and 7 minutes. And then Marcus Thuram on 44. And then look at the finances. We've now got £156 million in the overall balance. My transfer budget for this season is £5.4 million. That is crazy considering the money that we are generating for the club. The wage budget's £1.2 million. And we're planned to actually be spending more than that going into next season. Looking at the debt and loans, net debt is still zero. Transfer debt now down to £53 million. And then looking at the player stats, Lorenzo Luca got 36 goals this season. Let's have a look. So he scored 24 in the league with 14 assists, 36 in all competitions. He got 8 in Europe. But he isn't the top goal scorer this season. He finishes second with 24 goals. Marcus Thuram with 20. Job Bertelsen gets 27 goals. Let's just get an inquiry made for him and just see what happens. Highest average rating is also Luca with a 7.5 assists. Most assists was Bergwijn with 21. Best pass completion is Van Eyck with 91%. Most player of the match awards is Luca with 12. Most yellow cards is Timber with 16. And Marcus Thuram got 2 red cards this season. When we're looking at the team stats wise though, we scored 114 goals this season, dominating again, which was the best. 30 goals conceded, which is the third best this time, and I think it was 5th last season. Yellow cards wise, 92, which is the worst. Red cards wise, 1, which is the 9th worst. And the average attendance is the best again, at just shy of 52,000. So there we go. Now, I did say before the second season started that tactically, I wasn't sure if I was going to mix it up. Probably go to a 4-3-3. However, we've won all the competitions we've been in, apart from the Champions League, obviously, where we got to the final. I think on another day we may have been able to edge it. What do I do now as far as the team goes? Where do I strengthen? Because I think this team is more or less there. And we've been given no funds in the transfer window neither. So you never know. We might have to sell a couple of players for big money if I want to bring more players in. However, we may not see much of a rebuild this summer. Right then guys, so it's the start of season 3 and we've had one big outgoing transfer. Now obviously, this player has led us to glory over the last couple of seasons, and I'm not really going to need to explain why he's moved. So Lorenzo Luca has gone off to Real Madrid. Absolutely massive signing. He's got 6 caps now for Italy with 1 goal. He's 23-year-old. He's valued at £54 million, and we sold him for 48.5, rising to 51 million with add-ons. Now, he did play 1 game for us this season, scoring before he moved. The deal was accepted by the board, and I don't blame them, in fairness, to get, like I say, over £50 million. What a player that is quality for us, but is he really at Real Madrid standard at the minute? I'm not quite sure. I don't know how much game time he's going to get, and I do feel sorry for him if that ruins his career, but he's earned the move, and we've got some good money for him. So other players going in, Tony Latto went off to Crystal Palace for £6.5 million. He only played 9 games for us over 2 seasons. We brought him in for £2.1 million. He was one of the first signings that I brought in when I took over the club. Yeah, and he's gone to Palace, like I say, for £6.5 million. A very tidy profit for us. And another player that joined in my first season, Dominik Livakovic, he has gone off to Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia for £15 million. I could have probably got, 20 plus million for this guy, but I've brought in another goalkeeper, a younger goalkeeper who I feel is better. So Livakovic has gone off to Saudi Arabia. Like I say, solid goalkeeper. His media description is instinctive goalkeeper. He could have stayed with us for many more years, but like I say, I've just brought in a better option, and I don't think Livakovic should be sat on the bench as a number 2. But my number 2 has also left as well, so Geronimo Rulli has gone off to the UAE, to Al Zahira for £5.75 million. We brought him in for £7 million. He played 1 time last season, conceding 2 goals. As soon as Livakovic joined, that basically pushed him to deputy. He could have stayed as a deputy, but that offer was just too good. Take £5 million for him for a player that's going to sit on my bench. Yes, please. So the first player through the door for us then is Ian Matson, a 22-year-old Dutch national. No caps yet, and we bring him in from Chelsea on a free transfer. He actually spent some time at PSV. Well, I say he spent time. He had 1 season there before going to Chelsea. He hasn't really done too much. He spent some time in the Championship, 40 appearances in both of those seasons. But yeah, we've brought him in, free transfer, pacey. I'll take that as a full-back and plays out on the left-hand side. And another solid free transfer for us was the 24-year-old Englishman, Max Aarons. Very pacey, acceleration 15, pace 17, that dribbling 14. Crossing could be a little bit higher because I like my players to get further up the pitch. But he's played 1 game for us already. Like I say, we got him on a free transfer from Norwich. And in that 1 game, he got 1 assist and got player of the match. So yeah, great start for him and hopefully a sign of things to come. So like I said earlier, I've brought in a better goalkeeper, and I've brought in Georgi Mamadashvili. Now, this guy, I've had him before. He's a quality goalkeeper. £10 million is a bargain. Now, he played 25 times for Valencia last season, conceding 26 goals. 23-year-old, 16 caps for Georgia already. He is a very good goalkeeper, and he's only going to get better. And then with Lorenzo Luca leaving, I brought in a 27-year-old Brazilian with 1 cap, Pedro. Now, I brought him in for big money. He joined us for £30 million. He has got a goal in him. Last season, he played 20 times, scoring 6 goals. I say his last season. Obviously, they're halfway through the season in Brazil. So he's played 20 times this season, scoring 6 goals. He could have scored more, but he scored 16 the season before in 36 appearances. And £30 million for a player that with 16 finishing, 16 composure, a balance of 14, I think he's as good as Lorenzo Luca was. So yeah, that is my final signing. And then when we look at the tactics, this is likely to be my best 11 with Bechellii in goal, Bassi, Wrench, Timber and Aarons. That's absolutely not right. Tulo should be in there. And then I would say Ostergaard in there as well. So that would be my back four with Kudus and Taylor in the middle. Bergwijn and Chukwueze out wide. And then Tadic and Pedro up front. I would probably go with Beto up there as well. Even though Tadic, he loves the goal. So yeah, that is going to be my best 11. And we're still going to play attacking. We're still going to play a 4-2-4. Which is a risk considering that we're going for that European silverware. However, it got us to a Champions League final next season. And we've upgraded and we're stronger this season. So hopefully we can just go that one step further. So finances wise then, I've got £51 million in the transfer budget. I could have continued to spend, but there genuinely is no point. The team is good enough. Overall balance is £177 million. Debt and loans is 0, and that transfer debt is £83 million. So if you were to carry on this save, you're still going to get £83 million worth of funds drip fed back into the club. Competitions wise then, we've got the Eredivisie, the Champions League, the Dutch Cup and the Johan Cruyff Scholl, which we actually finished runner-up in. We ended up losing 1-0 to PSV, so not a great start for us in that game. However, as you can see from the board expectation, it wasn't important. And then when we look at the Eredivisie and what the season expectation is, the expectation again is for us to win the league. And we've got 7 players in that media dream 11. So what was the biggest transfer deal this summer? Surely, yeah, Lorenzo Luca going to Real Madrid and then Pedro replacing him. The majority of those big transfers, actually, I think that's the top 8 transfers, are all ingoings and outgoings from Ajax. And then schedule-wise, we've already had one game, a 3-0 victory over Venlo, but then we're going to take on Go Ahead Eagles, Vitesse, Feyenoord, Den Haag, and PEC as well. So plenty of opportunity there. Feyenoord out of those teams, maybe one that can cause us trouble, but I would reckon, given our performance, we're going to steamroll the league again. So yeah, fingers crossed, everybody. Champions League silverware at the end of this is the aim. Can we do it? Right then guys, so here we go. We have got to a Champions League final again and we're playing in Munich against Liverpool. 2 seasons on the bounce, that's an achievement in itself. And obviously last season I didn't expect to get there and we did, and we lost out, we fell at the final hurdle. So we've got an opportunity to go again, and we'll just go again with it, going on holiday for one day and just wait and see what happens. Fingers crossed, you know, on our final game within this Ajax rebuild to be able to lift the Champions League. But it's a massive ask against what will clearly be a by far superior Liverpool side. We have done it. 3-2 Marcus Thuram with a 93rd minute goal after Luis Diaz got a goal in 88. Let's see the goal that took us to. We had 13 shots, 5 on target. As by the look of this, we have absolutely shithoused our way to a Champions League trophy. Thuram through on goal. There we go. They were looking at it for offside. He's onside and we end up winning 3-2. And like I say, 30 shots, 16 on target for them. Bechellii in goal got a 7.6. But Marcus Thuram, there you go, with a player of the match performance, 8.7. And on our final game, we lift the Champions League crown. If we'd lost out, it wouldn't have been end of the world for me. I'd have been disappointed to have ended on another defeat. But to get to 2 Champions League finals in 3 seasons, what a tactic and what a team. So looking at the league table, does it really matter now as we've lifted the trophy with 87 points, 14 points clear of SC Heerenveen, who finished in 2nd. I tell you what, there's been some real mix of teams challenging for that 2nd place. And then when we look at the league table, we played 34 games, 28 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats, 124 goals scored this season, 31 conceded, plus 93 goal difference, 87 points on the board. And then when we look at the past positions, we have been in top spot since match day 2. Competitions wise then, we now entered into the Club World Cup Championship. We win 3-2 in the final of the Champions League. We win in the Dutch Cup final 3-0 against SC Camber. 30 shots, 15 on target. Absolutely dominated that one. And then, as I said at the start of season 3, we ended up losing 1-0 to PSV. So we could have won 4 trophies this season. We still get a treble. So finances wise then, for this upcoming season, we'll have £92 million to play with, or should I say, you'll have £92 million to play with should you want to continue this rebuild. That is some incredible money, as we've got £245 million in the overall balance. Net debt is still zero, transfer debt £52 million. Like I said, that is money owed to us. And then looking at the play stats, Samuel Chukwueze got 22 goals this season. I'm quite surprised not to see Pedro as a top goal scorer. He's valued up to £86 million, 14 goals in the league. He has been solid for us. 15, 13, 14 over the last 3 seasons as far as goals go. And those average ratings as well, above 7.4 all the way through. Highest average rating was Beto with a 7.46. Most assists was Max Aarons with 18 assists. Best pass completion was Ostergaard with 91%. Most player of the match awards was Chukwueze with 6. Most yellow cards, Ostergaard with 17. And Owen Windar got 1 red card. And then when we look at the team stats wise, 124 goals scored, which is the best. 31 goals conceded, which is the second best. 88 yellow cards, which is the second worst. And 1 red card, which is the third best. And an average attendance again was over 53,000, which is the best. What about the rest of the squad though? So when we look at it, Chukwueze scored the most amount of goals with 22, 14 assists. Marcus Thuram with 21 and 10. Beto with 18 and 13. Pedro's injured. He's been out since the 4th of January, so there you go. We've missed him for half a season, and even within that half a season, he scored 18 goals. So he was on course for a 40-goal season, I would say. When we look at the job history then, obviously the under-18s are in there as well. For some reason, I've been managing the under-18s. I say I've been managing the under-18s. I've been simulating forward. However, we won some with the under-18s as well. The under-18 Eredivisie will take that. But we have won 9 trophies over 3 seasons. So it's been a treble every season. Within the first season, we won the Schaal, the Dutch Cup and the Eredivisie. It was exactly the same again the season after. And then this season, we didn't actually win the Schaal, but we won the Dutch Cup, the Eredivisie, and the Champions League. That was it. European silverware. Take that. Absolutely take it. Then when we look at the overview, we bought 19 players at a total of £138 million. We sold 22 players, bringing in £169 million. The highest fee spent was £30 million on Pedro, and the highest fee received was £51 million for Lorenzo Luca. Absolutely love that. That has been an incredible rebuild. So there you go then, guys. Champions League winners. We come so close last season. I didn't think we'd get to the final again. However, we have, I was going to say destroyed Liverpool. We haven't. Liverpool were all over us by the look of that, and we have gone away and snuck a victory to lift the Champions League trophy. So yes, if you want to carry on this save, it is available down in the description. And if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot. And don't forget to vote on the next team you would like to see rebuild on my community tab. So thank you very much. Stay safe, and I'll catch you later. Ta-ra.